about the next part of discourse markers. These grammars that you study in American English file number 5, they are very useful in writing and speaking part. Okay, this is show that how your speaking level in English. Okay, so first we talk about the result linkers. Look at the examples. I have a job interview next week, so I bought myself a suit. Okay, most of the time we use so, we know it. Okay, on the spot we use it in our speaking. But number 2, it had snowed hard all night. As a result, the airport was closed until 11 a.m. As a result is a kind of formal things. Okay, the better one is so, I think, here. But when we want to write something according to the government or something like magazine, okay, it's better to use as a result. It's writing based on writing format. Next example. We regret that you do not have the necessary qualifications, and therefore or consequently we can omit and, okay, and just write therefore and consequently. We are unable to offer you the job. Okay, now we are going to talk about this. Number 1. So is the most common way of introducing a result or a logical connection. Okay, we use it a lot. Number 2, as a result, therefore, and consequently more formal than so are often used at the beginning of a sentence or clause. You can use it at the middle of a sentence or at the beginning of a sentence. Okay, it doesn't matter. So we learned that in writing part, it is better to use as a result, therefore, and consequently. So, therefore and consequently can also be used before a main verb. For example, we have therefore consequently decided not to offer you the job. Okay, so then we can also use it before the main verb, and it makes your sentence more beautiful. We have therefore, and you emphasize to your sentence that maybe it's a trick to someone. We have therefore a student here that study a lot and gain a good mark in her lessons. Okay, so this is the result linkers. We learn about the writing part, how to write, and speaking part. Next one, reason linkers. I have stopped writing to her because, as, or since she never answers me. Okay, they are the same. Why did your boss resign? Because his wife was sick. Examples number 2. The plane was late because of the fog. Okay, we learn how to use because of. Flight 341 has been delayed due to or owing to. Owing to is C2, not C1. C2 level of English. Owing to adverse weather condition. Yay. Now the description. Because, as, and since more formal are synonyms and are used to introduce clauses giving a reason. As and since are often used at the beginning of a sentence. Are often used, not always. For example, as or since the rain hasn't stopped, we've decided not to go out. Most of the time we can see that we use present perfect or perfect times with recent clauses. Okay, so but I want to correct something here. Most of the time we use because in informal language because we don't have any way to describe a reason. Okay, but I think the as and since are more formal. We use because, not as or since, to answer a why question. If someone asks you why, okay, try to say because here as and since very formal, and it shows that, for example, you are a governor or a person who is a clerk who work in a company, but you are a normal people. Okay, then try to use because. Okay, so number 2, because of, due to, and owing to also express the reason for something. They are usually followed by a noun. If you've got a noun, okay, just now, we use because of, due to, and owing to. Or gerund, okay, or the fact that plus clause. Due to the fact that. Have you ever heard it? Definitely you heard. Due to the fact that, owing to the fact that, okay, they are again more formal. Due to and owing to are more formal than because of. Okay, so very good. Have you got any questions so far? Okay, good. Purpose. Do you have a question?
No, نداریم. اتمام رسیدیم دفتر.
Purpose. For purpose, we just learn to use to and for. Okay, but here we have more points. Example number 1. I took a language course to, or in order to, or so as to improve my English. As you see, here we use verb after in order to, after to, and so as to. Okay, this is a main verb here, like an infinitive. Number 2, she closed the door quietly so as not to, or in order not to, wake the baby. This is the negative format of so as to and in order to. Number 3, they moved to Quito so, or so that. I think it is better to mention that here. They could see their grandchildren more often. Okay, in concours, most of the time we have this question. The difference between so that or so as to. Okay, and I will tell you that when we use so that, when we use so as to. This is easy. Okay, so next one. I'm not going to tell Anne in case she tells everyone else. مگر اینکه in case. یا ممکنه اینجا به معنای in case مبادا هم باشد. چون تو جمله شرطی هاتونه in case استفاده کردیم. Purpose بود دیگه اونه. The description of number 1. To, in order to, and so as to introduce a clause of purpose and are followed by infinitive. To is the most informal. The most informal. Okay, in our speaking, most of the time that we hear that, especially the American people, they are not going to use in order to or so as to. They use to. Okay, but the classic or the level of your English, you can make it up or improve and use in order to or so as to. For negative purpose, we use so as not to and in order not to. You have to notice that before to we use not. Number 3, you can also use so that plus can, could, plus verb or will, would, plus verb to express the purpose. You can leave out that in informal English. Then in informal English, never ever we use so as, so that. After so that, we have to use auxiliary verbs like can, could, must, will, would, okay, plus a verb. This is the point, the difference between so as to and so that. Okay, we don't have any difference in meaning, the meaning of the structure. Okay, but so that is very formal. Okay, very formal, the most formal, I think. The last one. Here we've got a point first. Use so that when there is a this is another important point. When there is a change of subject in the clause of purpose. For example, she put a blanket over there, over the baby, so that he wouldn't be cold. Here we change the subject. If we change the subject, it is necessary to use so that. In a test, in an exam, if you want to write the correct one between so as to and so that, according to this point, you can write the correct one. Number 4. We use in case plus a clause when we do something in order to be ready for future situation or problem to avoid them. After in case because in case is a kind of conditional sentences, as you know, and I taught you in American English file number 4, you know that in case is a conditional sentence. So after in case, we have to write something that it will be happen in future. Okay, the meaning is وگرنه or مبادا. And the last one, the most famous linkers that actually examiners in IELTS ready to hear the linkers of your contrast. They love the contrast linkers because it makes the sentences beautiful, especially in writing part. Look at the examples. We enjoyed the concert, but we didn't have very good seats. The next one is very informal and we don't use it a lot. Agnes was attracted to the stranger, yet something in her head was telling her not to get close to him. Yet is same as but here, but hardly ever you can hear that they use yet instead of but. Next one is the most famous in writing or speaking, doesn't matter. It is a really good idea. However, it may be too expensive. Though they are in the same position. The next one is very formal. The moon shone brightly or shone. Nevertheless, it was hard to find our way. Number 2. First we read the examples. We enjoyed the movie, even though it was long. That we use it. I hope you use it. And the last one, talk about is in spite, despite, and despite the fact. In spite of being 85, she still travels all over the world. Despite her age, she still travels all over the world. Despite the fact that she's 85, she still travels all over the world. Number 1. But is the most common and informal way of introducing contrast and is usually used to link to contrasting points within a sentence. That we use it a lot in our speaking. Yet is used the same way but is more formal or literary. Very formal. I told you that in special things you can see or hear that. However and nevertheless are usually used at the beginning of a sentence to connect it to the previous one and are usually followed by a comma. Here the construction of a sentence is very important because here we've got a comma. Okay, but in buts, before a but we've got a comma. If you want to start a new sentences, you can use start a new sentence. You can use however and nevertheless to connect the previous sentence to the next sentence. Nevertheless is formal, yes. And we have a point here. Nevertheless or nonetheless is more formal literary than however. Nevertheless and nonetheless. Both of them are literary. In writing for the articles, for for the stories they use it. Number 2. Even though is more emphatic than although. Okay. یعنی تأثیر بیشتری، یعنی تأکید بیشتری، میگم تأکید بیشتری تو سنتنس داره. اگه اونجا میگه we enjoyed the movie even though it was long، خیلی داره تأکید میکنه به اینکه خیلی لانگ بود، یعنی اونجا یکم حوصله‌اش هم سر برده. ولی although خیلی تأکید نمیکنه، میگه فیلم خوبی بود، کیف کردیم، یکم حالا طولانی بود، همچین معنی میده. ولی even though is more emphatic than although. Though is more common in informal speech. though رو معمولا اصلا آخر جمله میارن، خیلی اون وسط ها شما نخواهید دید دو رو. مثلا میگن که I like pizzas. I prefer the Iranian pizza though. آخرش میاد، معمولا آخر میاد. خیلی بی نهایت این فرمال. نگاه ها مثلا کسایی که خیلی این فرمال صحبت میکنن. حالا یه نکته دیگه. Though can be also used at the end of the phrase to a comment adverb. من کامنت گذاشتم الان دیگه. He's very friendly. A little stingy though. دیدی منم پیتزا رو گفتم دیگه. He's very friendly. اینجا یه استوپی میزنی، خوراک نوشتن مثلا دیالوگی هست، چون طرف از این دوه میفهمه که باید وایسش رو تغییر بده، بیاره رو کانترست. A little stingy though. خیلی قشنگی هم هست به نظرم، تو جزء ادورباییه که قشنگ میکنه جمله رو. خب and the last one